memory ra ng sa DOM. Okay, na sa memory. And you can see that if you inspect the the page, kana makita niyo sa inspect mo na siya actual nga data sa DOM. Okay? Mo na siya ang na diha. That's the actual code representation of the DOM. Now, HTML mo na siya ang imuhang i-code para maka-output ka og web page. But in between there, between gikan sa code, ini-process ana sa browser, iyahan na i-convert into DOM or the document object model. So basically, kung magsuat mo og Java program, your Java file, ini-compile ninyo, mahimo na siyang bytecode. Diba? In the same sense, ang imong HTML, inig-process sa browser, mahimo na siyang DOM or document object model. Now, katong gi-explain ganiha nga na ay one-to-one mapping between sa element o sa attributes sa HTML padung sa DOM, pero dili tanan, no? Just like ang gi-explain nga walay representation sa call span dito sa DOM wherein naay attribute diri sa HTML. And those are some of the exceptions. So basically, when you are working with Angular or Vue.js for that matter or any other JS kanang frameworks, you are directly working with the DOM. Even in Angular, although naa ka dihay template, no? Naa ka template diha nga gibutangan nimo HTML. Those are just those will simply be converted together with all the other JS file into a DOM. Basically, mao na siya. Ang HTML naman po kay template URL, di ba? And that template URL is going to point to an HTML file. So imagine that na template URL in the component. And the component is a JavaScript or is a TypeScript file. Together with the HTML, ang output ana is ang DOM. Mao gyud na siya basically. So, and then the DOM is the one that is being processed by the browser and being rendered on the screen. Okay? So, ang DOM jud resides in memory gyud na siya. Naa gyud na siya sa memory na. Mura na siya ang kanang na ay active data directly render sa browser. So when you change something on the DOM, that is being reflected on the browser immediately. Every time you see a changes in the browser, on the view of the browser, it's actually kanang na a result of changing the DOM. And again, the DOM is something that resides in memory. And when you manipulate the DOM in order to make changes or to change the output or how the UI is displayed on the browser. So muna siya explanation sa DOM. Okay. Nakasabot na kung saan ang DOM, Carl? Okay. Any other questions? Yes. Okay, wala na question? Ready na mo para sa kuan project? By the way, this session talks all about property binding and Angular binding properties. And there are variations. Kay magbind ka with attributes nga naa sa element sa usa ka element in the DOM. So na si DOM na ay element, si element na attributes, and you can bind data from your component towards an attribute in your element. That's one example of the property binding, the attribute binding. Another one is the style binding, wherein You can bind a style into your element based on an expression. And another one is class binding. And then there's also that event binding. So, muna siya ang mga uh, something that you can work with in an Angular application to make your application dynamic and responsive and user friendly. So while we still have time, let me go here. I remembered giving you this kuan, this project in the last session. Itong about a service na nasayop ko create sa akong service na nawa participants service. Nahitabo na siya guys kay when I executed the CLI command to create this service, ako mangingalan og ng generate service and gingalan ako participants service. But in fact, iyahamang gihapon tong sumpayan og service sa tumoy. So nung munang nadoble ng service. Dapat unta to pag execute nako NGGS and then participants ano to kasi yan ay mosumpay og service. Pero padayon na lang ko. What I have here is simply define a participants attribute in this class and given this array, this is an array of objects and this object have name, age, and gender in there. And then just having two methods, get all and get by gender or get gender. And then ipass the gender kung ano tong naara sa gender. So this is the service. However, in the components here, I did not use that yet. So I'll try to demonstrate how I did it and then butangan po na ko na siya gamay nga property binding. Wherein will be when I display all the female so many nga list all the female members, the background of the card will become pink, and when I display the male members, the background of the card will become light blue, while if I display them all, the background of the card will be white. And that is achievable using property binding. So I have already here the service, and then all I have to do is add that service into the module, and of course that would be added in the providers part of the module, and that was so to, participants. So dara participant service, just enter that, automatic na niyang import diha, and now it's added in our providers. So now I can use that inside of my component. Tandaan na ko ng title. And I'll just have here a participants, which is a blank array. Okay, and so when this is constructed, by the way, I have here two methods naman. So, when this class is constructed, I'll just call upon that service. So I'll have this that participants will be given by actually we'll create the icon participant service tang sa nato nagnal here when we construct, we create a new participants service. Yun na. Anong di man siya pwede gnal, ha? Okay, so now we have a way of calling this dot participant service that get all, get, and then get katong sana get gender, and then ipasok gender. So let's try getting them all first, and we'll have here our participants. Then so this that participant service that get get all. Dili siya mo hatag og kuan kay giini mo guni dapat ako aning participants service ang iyang type. Then yaron tanawa inig because of that when I say that no nanay get all get gender. Okay, and so we are getting that and assign it into the participants like so. So ang result sa get all ihatag na to ni participants. So reklamo na po sa kinal mo siya. This should be ini. Ayan, dito yung reklamo na kay this. Okay. So muna siya inig-start. And so also nga to ang HTML magkatupan ng boilerplate. So remove this one and I'll have an HTML document. So may tawag na to ni ron Angular participants magama. And although gipakitaan mo kung saan paggamit sa Bootstrap no that the example that was given there was if you have a Bootstrap downloaded and placed there somewhere in your project nga tuon imuhang i-include sa imuhang styles right here. Okay? You can also use CDN if you want because you can always put your parang anong nagbutang po ang nagtibuok nga daara man pag index you put your on here link here. So let me go open get bootstrap and download and I'll just get the CDN from here. All I need is the link part. Copy that. I-paste it here. Tangon ako na si JS dahil kaya makasamok na siya ni Angular. So si CSS ra kung ikuha ha. And then there is ato ang HTML wala na ni siya. Kani may tanganan to og title unta dara. Akan na rin. So here maka-focus na kung sa atong ipagawa sa ni component but we are going to focus only on kuanra having a container. Then inside we'll have a row. Si row butangan na to og margin top nga 5. And then we'll have a column that is 4. And we'll put here a card. Mana na siya. And we'll have a card header. With a background of primary. And we'll give it an H3 with card title. Let's call this participants. So let's take a look at unsa na nagbuhay ani. There we go. And mura maggamay ra ang 4. Maybe we'll make it 6. Unsa ato na lang butangan og offset nga 3 kaya aron magpatunga siya. Wala lagi. Oh, cool. Offset MD3. like that. Yeah, ang card title butang na to text white. Karon puti ang iyang text. And then sunod si body sa ubos. Card header man na siya. We'll have here that card body. And this is where we put our participants in here as a list. So we'll have a list. ULLI lang yung tumiton. UL list group. Na siya. And inside we'll have LI. Nga doon ay class nga list group item. Then, muna siya gamitan na to og NG4. And so may NG4 na to. Siyempre, in our component here, we have these participants that is going to receive the get all. And you know, get all is returns the participants, which is an array. And even the get gender returns a list, and list is also an array. So it is an array, therefore you can do ng4. Let PR na lang in participants. And then we'll just display first here the P dot sa may hang properties. Name, age, or gender. Just name na lang. And save. Na ay error. Let's see what the error is. P does not exist. PR manggod. Bayot eh. Okay, wala error pero wala nang gawas. Close na nato na. So, wala nang gawas. Ano man. Kita mo sa save guys. Ako na sa i-console lag ni this that participants ug laban ni Sode. And we do have this. Naa ang participants, no? Can't bind to ng4 in LI. Did ko sayop ano yung kuha na ba? ng4 let PR of ba to? Tara. Oh, lagi. So we have our list. And we'll put here buttons para male, female, ug all. Alright? Karon maka-display ta sa male ra ug sa female ra. And to do that, we'll have our H3 yun pa. Darita. We'll put here a div with H which floats to the end. And here we put buttons. We'll have btn dash success para ni siya sa male. Then we'll have another button para sa female. Success mao'y female. Yang male primary. Dayon all. Ang A para sa all. Wala, no man ang need for, would be secondary. So may dagwa ni ron. Ito na. Uy, dili pwede si M nga primary info lang ni siya. There you go. Yeah, color eh. Nya, tangan na to sila kuan ay ng mga margin end o nga margin start na 2. See? All right. Dapat ang ituplong tog M, mga laki rin mo gawas. We're going to be calling the get gender and then we pass a gender. And so, asa lang to? Close na ko na to. So, in the M here, we're going to bind an event, di ba? And that is the click event. And we're going to call a method within our component. Get by gender. And here we pass male. Of course, wala pa taning get by gender sa atong component. So let's do that. Add it here. We'll have get by gender and we pass in a gender which is a string. And based on that, we are going to simply to call participants service dot get gender and we pass in our gender inside there. And that is now our this that participants, list of participants. So basically, gamay na lang siya. So let's try that out. If you click on male, and there you go, we only have the males. We'll also do that, of course, to our female right here. When we do click, we're simply going to call the same method, but this time we are going to pass female. Right there. So let's try female. So Angela, Pamela, Pearl, Blessy, Oshishina, male. Mark, Samuel, Peter, Greg, and Fortunato. All, wala pa yung all. Tanga na po na siya all. We are going to call the click again for the all. And this time we'll just create a new method get all. So go back to components. We'll call get all, which will simply call the get all of the constructor. I mean the participant service. Again, same thing. Pass that, and instead of get gender, we'll just say get all. And again, the result is assigned to the participants property that we have here. And so, female, male, all. Alright? Pero, ang atong gusto, nga doon ay changes sa background, kung male, blue, kung female, pink, kung all white. White naman na sa daan. So that's the thing that we are going to deal with regarding sana kanang property binding. Okay? And the property that will be binding here will be the card. The element, this card element, basically na dali day ang kining card body element. Kini siya. Kini siya mga tong koloran. So let's try give this a color sa be. What if we are going to say style here and say background color of pink. So, muna siya may tabo. Muna siya. But we are not going to write it there. We have to make it dynamic. Okay? And so to do that, we are going to bind the style background color So we say here in bracket, we say style dot background color. And we equate this to a property in our component. Of course, we don't have that. So, ngan lang sa nato nag-BG color right here. And we go back to our component and assign another property called BG color. We'll give it white for now. And we'll just change this to pink and light blue depending on the gender. If we change this to all, siyempre, butangan ato ng kuanan this.bg color equals white kung all. Pero kung gender, depende sa gender. So if gender is equal to female, then we'll say this.bg color is equal to pink. Otherwise, else, this.bg color is equal to light blue. There you go. So this is the part, and this is the property that is bound to the style that background property in this element. So as a result, if you click on male, there you go, blue siya. Click on female, tanang babae, yeah, pink na po siya. You say all, tanan, puti. Bro, magbati og puti, no? Ilisa na to. We'll have starting of light gray. Okay ra ba na? And muna sa itong gamiton dress code sa get all. See? Yan, light gray. So all, female, pink, male, all. Okay? That's a very simple example of using property binding with a little bit of demonstration also kung saan tong inyong previous nga project. Okay? So it's already 11:52. Nabatay laing additional nga mga pangutana diha karon. Guys? So nice food kayo no, Angular makahimo ta og dynamic o kanang naay sana interactive nga mga web applications. Questions, guys? By the way, I will be posting your project later on this afternoon and it will be due unyang kanang sa picture pang BG. Oh, katong akong gigamit, for example, kay ang property nga gamit was background color, di ba? Ang sa picture kay background image man to. Background image niya. Ang ipasa nimo URL. Of course, you have to make sure nga ang URL mo point exactly sa imuhang kanang naay picture nga imong gamiton. Pinaka nindot kung ang imong picture is live, so HTTP gid ka. Pero kung ang imong picture na address somewhere sa imuhang project, you'll be pointing it out based on the root and then actually in the assets, no? And then we are actually going to have the separate session when working with assets later on. But basically, instead of using the background color here, we'll be using background image, and then what you pass here is the path. Again, the path depends if it's local. It's placed on the assets, and there's a way to access that one. We'll get to that later on. Or you'll be using an online URL, and that's what you pass it here. Kung background image mo gamiton, no? Advance kayo ganahan jud pa-char-char Ed, no? Char-char. Any other question? Unstable po dako ang internet. Wow. How unusual. All right. So since you have no more question, that we will end our session again. Watch out for the project I will be posting later on this afternoon. It will be due on yung kadlaw ng tungang gabi. Okay. And that will be it. Thank you for attending, and see you again next. By the way, ang inyong IPT, wala man ta makakuan gahapon. I'll be posting siguro unyang gabi inyong lecture, and so we can have our session in Thursday. Okay, instead nga follow-up session, main session na lang sa Tuesday. Okay? So that's it. Thank you so much, and you may now go. Please execute leave drill. Bye-bye, everyone.